Hello, we meet again along the bending road. Remember, no matter where you go in life, two things are for certain. You will eventually come to a bend in your road, and God will always see you through. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. You can also click the subscribe button so that you'll know when I upload my next video. In this way, we work together to encourage one another as we travel life and navigate the bends in our road. Hi, and welcome back to the Bending Road. Glad you're here with me today. I've been talking for a couple of weeks now about lessons that we've learned while hiking. We love to hike. I absolutely love to hike. What I also like to do is snowshoeing. And snowshoeing puts a whole new perspective on those hiking trails. Unfortunately, we haven't had much snow to be able to do that with. We either have so much that we can't get out, or we don't have enough and it's just wet and sloppy out there. But that's a story for another time. But I think what it says is, life doesn't always do what we expect it to do, right? And we gotta roll with it, because I can't make more or less snow, and we cannot control the bends in our road. So one more time, I want to talk about some lessons we've learned when we're hiking. We have to pick the way to go. Which way are we going to go? How are we going to find our way? And even though we pick up a map in order to find our way, every trail is different, and every time you go, it's different. I kind of touched on that last week. One of the things to remember, and I think one of the things that I find really fascinating, is that every path, every hiking trail that we ever take has been traveled before by someone. And if you look carefully, you can see markings and clues from those who have been this way before. It might be, hopefully it's not trash or garbage or dog poop along the trail, but it might be a branch that's broken, or a scuff, or a footprint, or a mark in the mud. But it just reminds me that we don't travel this world alone. There's always somebody who has gone this way before, and it's encouraging to me. Again, we pick up our map before we get on the trail, and we always make sure we have a map, or we look at the posted map before we get going. But even though a map has a marked trail, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a smooth trip, right? And a shorter trip doesn't always mean easier. We had a place near our Binghamton home that we enjoyed traveling, and sometimes the shorter routes were not always the easiest. Maybe they went up hills. Maybe we had to cross creeks in order to get through them. So a short route doesn't always mean the easiest. And just because it's mapped, it's on the map, doesn't mean it doesn't have its troubles. We do need to pay attention as we're traveling, because the scenery is always changing. You can take a trail and you can see pines, or you could go a different trail and find an azalea grove, or a clearing, or maybe there's cut trees or deciduous trees, all sorts of different trees, or rock formations, or maybe one area is sloppy and muddy and one area is dry. You pay attention, see the difference, see how it's changing. Watching life and seeing how it's changing can be just fascinating. Life was never meant to always be the same. Sometimes when you're taking a trail in the woods, I've thought, this doesn't make sense. Why would it go this way? Why did it go that way? Why didn't it go over here? It just seems like it would be easier if it went that way. But then once you get through it, you realize, had we gone that way, we would have had to contend with the hillside, or a tree that's in the way, or a fallen tree. Sometimes we don't like the path that we end up on in life. Sometimes we don't like the direction that life is going. Sometimes there's a trial that's really, really hard. And it's not until after we see it all the way through that we realize that had we not gone this way, we would have had more to contend with. The next thing we've learned, you need to watch the map, you need to watch your trail markers, you need to stay on the trail so that you can end up where you intend. So often I think we go through life thinking we can go our own way and do our own thing and still end up where we want, in the blessings of God and under God's care. But I know for me, I've sensed God saying, wait a minute, don't be upset with me. You're the one who got off the trail. So we need to keep to the trail. We need to watch those markers, pay attention to the map so that we can end up where we intend. Life can be crazy, right? And the trails can be crazy. Sometimes we're on a trail and we're going along and everything's fine, and then we hit an area that is wet and sloppy or slippery. We don't realize that there's ice underneath. The mud has gotten icy, or maybe it's just soft and gooey, and your foot sticks in the mud. Life's the same way, right? We know that. We know that's the case. So you don't get upset when it gets that way. You just keep moving through. Just keep going. You'll get there. Eventually, you'll come to solid, level ground. It's so easy to stop in the midst and just get sad, upset, depressed over the condition of life. But stopping in the middle of a sloggy, slippery spot on the trail isn't going to get us to the end. It's not going to get us to better ground. Your best bet is to keep moving. Sometimes, even though you think you're sticking to the trail, even though you think you know where you're going, even though you're watching the trail markers, you might end up in a place you were not expecting. And it might be even better than you imagined. Ephesians tells us that God is able to do more than we can think or imagine. So sometimes we need to just see where God is leading us. The last thing that I've learned on the trail, and I'm sure that there are many more that God is going to teach me, but coming down the mountain is sometimes more dangerous and difficult than going up. We get upset because we're climbing this mountain, we're climbing this difficult mountain. You get to the top and the view is amazing and everything's great, but then you got to come down the other side, and sometimes that's more dangerous than going up. So we need to be careful. Coming down when the way seems easy and clear, that's sometimes where we need to be most careful. The view at the top of the mountain can be just an amazing accomplishment. Getting to the end of the trail can be just wonderful. Seeing that thing that you took the trail to go see, maybe it's a waterfall or something spectacular, it feels so good, and it's such a great sense of accomplishment. And it makes the difficulties worthwhile. There are times in life where we need to look back and realize that the difficulties in life were worth it, because they brought us to a place that was even greater than we could imagine. One day, Dave and I were hiking a trail, and it was a tough trail. We got to the top and turned around and looked, and there was a sign that said, "Trail closed." It wasn't closed on the other side. We are not sure if we took a closed trail that we shouldn't have been on, or if we went the wrong way and ended up on a trail that was closed. But either way, it was a really great adventure, and we had a good time. So, unexpected things. Here's, I think, should be our goal. As we hike through the woods, or we're walking through life, we're taking the bends in our road, every step should be a footprint of prayer for those who will come along behind us. We are not the last ones to walk this trail. Somebody is coming along behind us. We need to leave the trail better than we found it. We need to leave the markings clear and help mark the trail along the way if we can, and live a life of prayer. praying for those who are coming along behind us. I am pretty sure that those who went ahead of me were praying for me. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a great week, and I will look forward to seeing you again here on the Bending Road. I am so glad we can work together along this journey. I would love it if you would connect with me on social media or on my website at bendingroad.weebly.com. Let me know how I can pray for you as you navigate the bends in your road. And I pray that when you see the bend in your road, you will not be afraid, but will take the hand of God and keep walking. You are not alone. We'll see you next week on the Bending Road.